All right, folks, here we are. We got a special guest in town. This is Kerry Matat.
Hi, everybody.
She's in the house, Glass Academy addict. You've seen her commenting before. She watches pretty much every single show, and she is in from Boston, outside of Boston, Connecticut.
Yeah.
She's such a Boston fan. It's ridiculous.
Go Bruins.
But, did go to the Wings game the other night. The Red Wings beat Boston, which is pretty surprising. Boston's pretty darn good this year. The Wings are still rebuilding, but we're happy to have that circumstantial win on under our belts there. So that's super cool. Kerry's in town, and the timing is correct for her to be a part of the experimental show today, because last week we spoke about, and I've actually got them right here, the two reeds that both Michelle and I made on the show to show you our brand new reed class. And it was an experimental show because she experimented with a little different color pattern. And you see what we can do when you want to switch it up and make something new for next year. Perhaps we do something more this style. This year we've decided this is going to be the style. We found a beautiful way to get the copper rod attached to the bottom, which we highlighted on the show. But we're going to put it into action today and show you all how that class goes down. We're going to use Kerry as a student. She's made our previous Percolla Reeds style, which was last year, and this year she's going to make our brand new style. So we're starting off over here just to show you over the years and what we offer today for private events. We've got an abundance of different styles of classes for different times of the year. We're going to make them different each year. Sometimes we might do the ring teller next year, maybe not. But if we did do it, we would pick a new color, a new style, switch it up a little so that people that were collecting or wanted to try something new could use a new tool, use some new color, and have a little bit of diversification in their business. So that's one option. As you cycle down here, and a big shout out again to Uncle Dennis working the camera. We got a lot of love for him on the last show. He's doing a great job showing off the product and keeping things in order around here at the Glass Academy. That is our meditation globe. There you go. It's got the light. It's a little bright out to see that full action, but we do sell these light bases that go. That's a great beginner's class, the meditation globe. Lots of color swirlage and use of tool. The heart, we reinvented the heart for the Mother's Day. We're going to have pictures and details on that coming up. We're going to have a really cool event going on Mother's Day weekend. You don't have to be a mom, and you don't have to be really anything to come take that class, because it's going to be a one-of-a-kinder, and we'll see what people think of that. Superstar is an interesting one. You can make a star. The color patterns are endless, and it's pretty cool to pull the glass out and get those 5 points. Pretty open-ended class. You can have something really cool happen. The spirella mushroom down here, this is one that we are bringing back. We've already got a couple weeks booked ahead that are completely booked. This is a fan favorite, and we couldn't not do it again this year because so many people were actually asking about it. Then we've got up here the Percolla Reed, folks. So this is the one we're doing right here. We've got all our colors laid out. Kerry picked her color out. She said she's going with the perps, correct?
Correct, yep, perps.
All right. That's right. So we got all of our colors, and we're using a different style of color on this one. We picked out the color palette, a little bit of each. You can see the uniqueness in each twist and turn, and what we always say with every class is we make these classes different than our product. They don't take 100%, 3 years of blowing glass, 5 years of blowing glass to be able to do it, but at the end of the day, it's also an experience. So when I made these, I tried to make them all a little bit different, a little bit unique. And when you make yours, and Kerry, remember this as well, that it's not going for the perfect reed. There is no perfect reed. It's just about making a beautiful, long, colorful piece that's going in your garden. You can't be too critical on yourself. You've never blown glass before. Maybe you've done 1 or 2 classes, but this is experiencing the glass and seeing what you can do. And if it is your 2nd or 3rd class, maybe you know what you're getting into, and maybe you do try and do something you're shooting for. But it all just depends on the glass and how it goes down, and we will see how it goes. So let's take you into the shop here, folks. If you're new to the gathering point, if you're new to glass blowing here, Dearborn, Michigan, this is our shop. We're going to walk down the line here. You can see when you sign up for a class, we will point this arrow in the direction of the class you're taking, which is the Percolla Reed right now. We're not actually teaching classes today, so we don't have our instructor and our host for the evening written on the board, but this is great for people to see and know what they're coming into. We got our tools over here. We're going to be working out of the furnace today. A little bit different than traditional classes. Normally you work out of a reheating chamber. We'll heat up an exterior source just like this drum right here, get it up to 2,500 degrees, and you'll be working in and out of that. Because of my mistake, I forgot to turn it on today for the timing of the show. We're able to work out of the furnace, and luckily that's an option for us. And we'll talk about the difference of that when we get the class going. But the idea of the class is that I'm going to basically run through it so you all, if you're local, if you're far away, if you're anywhere in the world, can see what it looks like to take a class and go to your local shop, and or, like Kerry's done here, travel into town, check out Detroit. She's staying at the which casino is it?
MGM Grand.
The MGM Grand, downtown, really beautiful spot, and check out some local restaurants, check out the local culture, and then come check out the Glass Academy. So first things first, I know you said the perps, I didn't grab it yet, so I'm gonna take us over to the color station here. We've got, I think we have 8 different colors chosen for this class. Now normally I would have them lined up on the marver and you'd pick and choose, and you'd see what you wanna do. You can't mix all the colors, so when Uncle Dennis shows this off, and you've seen this beautiful shelf before, and students will see this shelf as well, you can't just pick. As much as we love to have this many colors available for you, you just can't do that because some colors don't work well together. Some colors are different when they're encased in glass. Some colors act different when they're on the outside of the glass. Some get duller, some get brighter. There's so much nuance to adding color to the glass that we curate the classes for you, and that's why we try and change them up each year, make them different, because we need to have a little bit of control over that. We can't just let a fresh glass blower loose on the colors. It doesn't quite work like that. So what we're going to go for is the perps, and this is called Hyacinth, and it actually looks blue. And the new glass blowers we have in our shop will typically put this guy in the blue section because you just can't tell by looking at it. And this is actually our deep purple. It's going to be a beautiful color, so we'll take it over to the table over there and get it prepared to work with. And the way we do these classes is we run through, and typically we've got 4 to 8 people depending on how many instructors we have with us at the time. We run through a demonstration, or we talk through the tools, then we'll run through a demonstration, and then we get everyone going to do the class. And as you may know, if you watch our show, the glass moves fast and it cools very quickly. So you're always working at a certain timetable, and so we can't really spend an hour per person actually working with the glass. The glass needs to be moved at certain times and worked, especially the reed, to get it to pull out correct. The timing needs to be right. So the classes are on the quicker side, but the build-up and the understanding of the equipment is equally as important. It takes a little bit of the time as well. So what I usually do, and Kerry, if I just point out some things, if you got questions, let me know. But
sure.
Usually I love to let people know who, and she's been watching a lot of shows, she knows a lot about the equipment, a lot about the temperatures, and as much as you can know from not necessarily being in the shop all day, but from watching how we do things.
Yep.
I usually go over the furnaces, talk about how they're 2,100 degrees, they run all year long. We've got the reheating chamber, 2,500 degrees. And then what a lot of people don't understand about glass, so we try and reiterate it as much as possible, is when Kerry finishes this class today, it's going to cool down overnight. We're going to put it in a box behind Uncle Dennis that's 1,000 degrees, and she's not going to be able to get this till tomorrow, and luckily she's not flying out for a couple more days after this, so she'll be able to pick it up. Otherwise, she'd be bumming.
We'd be bumming.
Go on the shelf. No, but we included in the classes, we ship it to wherever you're coming from. So if you're from out of town, some people live half an hour away and they want to get it shipped because they just don't want to make the drive back, and that's no problem. We ship it out to you. We know you got to come back and figure that out, so it's a little bit of a convenience thing for the student. So we cool those down overnight so they don't crack. That's pretty much the equipment that I'll dive into, and when you watch our shows, you learn a lot more in depth about that. I'll talk about the tools a little bit more, and I'll show you kind of the way we hand off the pipe a little bit. The first things I always say to students is the thing that's going to get burned if you're in here in the shop will be your left hand. And there's a lot of lefties out there. Kerry's not one of them,
Nope.
thank goodness. But even the lefties, they totally have a fine time with the classes because Chris, my dad, who's on the Gathering Point shows, is a lefty. One of our instructors, actually, Nick, is a lefty as well. And he grew up in Seattle and learned glass blowing. Chris found it at CCS, and then him and Michelle both did internships in Italy. And you go into an Italian shop, and the Italian glassmakers blowing glass there, doing some sweet, crazy stuff and teaching you what's up. And you sit down at the bench and you say, oh, I'm a lefty, can I give it a shot? Can we rearrange the bench around, and you mind flipping it around and you know, setting it up for me? They're just like, sorry, kid, you better go back to America. So he learned how to do it with his right hand. And if you were a lefty, I'd say, no problem, I'm gonna help you through it, but you also have the advantage of turning the pipe very naturally. So it's a very ambidextrous kind of deal. So for the lefties out there, don't be nervous. For the righties, still don't be nervous. So when your left hand gets burned, the reason I say that is because when I hand you the pipe, I'm going to be on the outside of the bench. You'll be inside, and I set it down to you like this. And if you were turning the pipe, your left hand would go right there. When we're standing up and I do the same thing and hand you the pipe and you're going to go for the color, your hand always goes behind my hand. If your left hand creeps up and you grab in front of mine, my hand's to the hottest part. So as long as you're behind my hand, you're good to go.
Yep.
Let me slide in there one more time. You will leave the turning up to me because once I'm on the other side right now turning the pipe, the natural human instinct, especially as it's rolling away from you, is, oh, it's going to fall off the bench. I'm going to slide my left hand out and save it. And you usually go for the part that's closest to you, right in the hot area. So I always tell people, I'm looking for that, and if I see your left hand creeping out to help out with me, I'm just going to smack it out of the way and waste no time and give it the old backhand.
Gotcha.
And make sure you don't get burned.
No smacks.
No smacks. So that's your left hand. The other spot your left hand can get burned is if you grab the tool the wrong way. And these tools, as you've seen over many times on our shows, are pointed in a certain direction so that I could be talking to Chris or Michelle or any of our assistants saying, hey, yo, that color, this thing, that thing, boom, and then I grab the tool and I don't need to look at where the tool is. You keep an organized bench so you don't get burned. If you as a student, and a lot of people want to hold this the opposite way and use it kind of like scissors. If you hold it the opposite way, and then I say from over there, flip that thing around, would you? You're holding it the wrong way. You're going to take your left hand and you're going to put it right on the hot blades and give yourself the sizzle as you're flipping it around. So keep your left hand to the side. If you do need to readjust, I'm saying flip that thing around, set it back how you found it with the tips to the back, and then just easily put your palm down right onto the tool and bring it straight up and down. We kind of say Psycho style like the movie, and we say it's kind of a stabbing style. We haven't found a better way to talk about it, but that really sticks in people's head when they think about the stabbing motion. So straight up and down, kind of the stabbing motion.
So no smack and no sizzle.
No smack, no scissor, and you don't really need to stab anybody either.
No
you can think about it, but no stabbing either. The tweezers are the opposite direction. It's very important that these are facing forward so you don't get the beeswax from the tool on the tweezers. You'll go to grab the glass, grab the tip of your reed, everything's ready, it's super hot and moving, you go to grab it, and then it just slides off the glass. And then by the time you get back there, your heat's all distributed weird and it doesn't really work. So these always stay forward, and you see where I was holding it, way up to the front. I always show back here. I can close them from back here, but if you go for the pinch and you maybe pinch it 3 or 4 times, by the third pinch, your forearm's going to be popping and you're going to be getting a workout. So you don't necessarily need to do that. It's much easier, much more control up in the front like so. We have 1 million other tools that go on the bench. We keep it simple for the classes. We keep the ones you need here, and each class has a different set of tools. So you're doing something different. You always use the jacks, but these may change. But at least for this class, we keep it simple. You know what you're going for. Back here, we've got a couple other tools which you likely won't be using for this class. I don't believe you will. But in other classes, you may use the wooden block. It gives you kind of the Q-tip shape. And a lot of people really love it when they get to put their hand right on the murky water, the wood-soaked murky water. That's a really fun experience for people in the glass shop. So if you're really excited about that, take the meditation globe class. And then you got the holy paddle as well. That's for the meditation globe class as well. So a couple different tools. Moving on from that, I think that's pretty good. Any questions
Yeah.
about that?
No, sounds great.
Okay, so I'm going to do a demonstration to show you kind of how that process goes down. We could talk about the tools and I could walk through the whole step of the process, but seeing it is a lot easier than just hearing about it. First things first, first class of the day, first thing you do with the glass, turn on the pipe warmer. We don't want to lose a ton of heat into these metal rods from the glass and have the core be cold. So you're always preheating these guys up. And I'll work the glass a little bit different on my demonstration just because I just turned it on. By the time we get started with Kerry, it'll be perfect. Then here's the furnace. It's 2100 degrees with students, and Kerry, if you'd like. It's really cool to see inside the furnace. And so you can't take a gather. We've got a 100% hands-on class. It's a 2-hour class on Saturday and Sunday mornings. In that one, we let you take one gather, but that's pretty much it. Because we could spend weeks on teaching the process of gathering, and there's so much finesse to understand. But it is really cool to see inside the furnace, and it's pretty much like honey. I always tell people, if you had a jar of honey and you took a drumstick, it's easy to imagine that and imagine trying to do it by just making that scooping motion. In your mind, you think about, how would I scoop up the honey? It's the same exact thing as what we're about to do here. So we go into the furnace, we turn the pipe, turn it faster to pick up more glass, and then we come out and we've got our glass. Now, when you're with me, Kerry, I'm going to flip it around to this side, and I'm going to do it backwards. I'll let you do it frontwards, and you'll take the pipe from me, and you're going to go into the color. And I'm going to do this one as clear so we can recycle it. But you will go into color, and it's a light tap and turn all the way around. You're just slowly picking up. The glass is hot. Color will stick right to the surface, and you pick up that color on there. And this is just on the table. I'm giving it little facets on there. Then we can shape it up a little bit too and get it prepared to gather the clear over it and encase the glass. That's cooling down very fast. So once we get the color on there, we'll melt the color in, then we'll let it cool down and we'll let it solidify. If it's too hot, we're going to lose our purple into the furnace when we go to gather it.
Then you're gathering over that.
Correct. Encasing the color.
Yep.
And that gives it a magnification effect. We're also going to put ribs on it, so I'm going to go actually grab the mold. I forgot to grab the optic mold. Kerry, would you mind grabbing that purple one so we can show them what the optics look like? We take it over here. This is another option for us in the future to switch up the molds that we use. This is a brand new mold that I got this year. It has 20 points on it compared to the 12-point mold that we used in previous years. I think before the pandemic, we had a Percolla Reed class with texture. That was the 12-point mold. Now we're using the 20-point mold. So we'll bring that over here. And you can see, Kerry, if you just show that one off a little bit to these guys, you can see the texture on the outside. And we're going to swirl it up. You've got the color encased, so it's magnified. And when you've got that layer of clear next to the perps on the inside, the light refracts in there like crazy. So it's a beautiful process for sunlight, for unnatural light, for anywhere that you had this piece landing. So I'm going to go for the clear on top. So when I take this gather, I'll take the gather once again, but then I'll have you, and we'll do this together because it's a lot of glass. We're going to shape it up together.
Yep.
And so you'll be on here. We're going to start on the back end. We roll the back end, so we pull it off the pipe, and then we come back and we hit the high end. This is shaping it up for the mold, giving it that pointed shape. We roll it down maybe a little. It's 2 different angles, back end, top end. Once we get that shape, we don't want to spend forever on there because it's taking heat out of the glass all the time that it's on the metal. And we get it super hot again. I'll take over at this point. You'll be sitting in the bench, getting ready with the jacks. And I'm gonna get this super hot. I'm gonna drop it in the mold. I'll get the texture on there, and then you're gonna be putting the neckline into it where we're gonna break it off of the pipe later on.
Gotcha.
Straight up and down into the mold, a light push. Gives it our ribs. I pull it off the pipe a little bit. And then you will be in the bench. Oops. So when you sit in the bench, I'll hand the pipe to you. Kerry's going to be using the jacks straight up and down. This is a very light squeeze. I'll line it up for you on the opposite side, but you squeeze real light. This is your starter line. And that puts a crease in between what we're saving and what's staying on the pipe. Then you're grabbing the tweezers, and this is where it's going to get pretty crazy. You're going to go for the swirl, the pull and swirl. And so this is where there's so much you could do to the glass. It just depends on how the wrist is moving, how it's pulling out, and you just see what happens. You grab the tweezers. I'm going to let it fall one direction. I'll flip it, and you grab the tip, a tiny little pinch, the least amount of glass that you can grab. And you hold tight. You can turn your hand sideways. You start pulling out like this, getting crazy with it. When you got the length, and we don't want it too long and delicate, then you can pull it down, you can curl it around. I'll keep turning so that we get a bunch of different curls and craziness to it. And then when I'm on the other side, I'll have the tool, the diamonds, that I will put a crimp right here. Now, depending on how it looks, I might have you even use the tool to tap it with the back of the tweezers. You pop off the tip on it.
Cool. That's great.
So it's a one move special. When you got the heat right, you go for it. We can heat it up a little more, but every time we heat it up and crimp it more, you're going to have more tweezer marks, and we'll burn away the ribs the more we heat it up.
Clear glass looks great, Jake.
But the clear looks beautiful,
really nice.
doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's always an option for the class too. You can always do clear,
Yep.
and you can always do recycle, and that's typically something that returning
Pretty
customers
nice.
will do.
Hey, I understand. Am I correct in this, that you can only do this at the Glass Academy?
This class, this particular class,
Yeah.
it might be true, folks.
So you might have to travel in town to do this class?
You might have to.
Just like Kerry did?
Just
Yeah,
like Kerry
Michelle
did.
was asking who was local on one of your feeds one day, and I said I consider myself a local. It only takes me 2 hours to get here by plane, or
There
less
we
than
go.
2 hours. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty good.
And you could do multiple classes. If you're going to come into town, do
Yep.
5.
Book 'em up.
And you've got 5 colors for your garden.
Good gifts too. So that's the process there. I'll give it a couple crimps. It's getting really cold right now, so I'm actually going to heat it back up because we do want to save this and finish the process and show you what that looks
that'd
like.
be great.
So once we get that done, I've got the diamond shears prepared for me on the table over here. This is going to be my ability to put a crease line in it to pop it off of the pipe. A little extra crease line. Yours is a great starter. We need a better, stronger crease once we get it pulled out so that we'll be able to tap the pipe and it will want to pop off of there. You can't use the jacks on this because it'll hurt the tool. It's so cold at this point. We don't want it to get it floppy again and lose its shape that you just made, so I crimp it down to a nice little base like that. Now the next move, and this is really cool, we've never done it this way before, but the students are loving it and it's pretty unique, is we'll bring it over here. I'm going to tap it into, this is called vermiculite. And this is really good for holding glass without taking a lot of heat from it. And it can hold it steady so we can do something like this and finish the base of the piece. And I'm going to mock this one up. I'm not going to actually push the copper rod into it this time because I'm not saving this clear one. I'm going to recycle the glass, but I will grab a clear gather like so. Let it drop onto the bottom. Cut it off so it's just enough to hold your clear tube. You will have already prepared and put on our sweet brand new Glass Blowers copper tube glove, like so, and you'll have one of our copper tubes over here. And we hold this because this is going to get hot. This won't be hot on your fingers anymore with the glove. And you will immediately after I cut it off catch right where that cut mark is and squish down. You want to think about lining it up. You don't want to squish it like this. You don't want to squish it like that. You're lining it up with the center of your reed and which direction you want it sitting. And you push it down nice and sturdy, and the glass will go into the copper tube, and it'll surround the copper tube, and within about 2 seconds, you'll feel it'll be completely stiff to the glass. Because the copper tube pulls the heat out of it, the glass stiffens, and it is stuck in the reed. And that's how you're going to finish your piece. And so you look at it like this. There's how it sits. And look at how that glass moves around the reed like so. And this is sturdy. This is completely solid. And then you could put this on a dowel rod, on a chopstick, anything you like, and it can go into any plant or outdoor scenario. And that's that. We'll take this guy, we'll pull it out. It's definitely getting cold at this point. So it could explode, but who knows? And I'm gonna put it into the clear bucket. Get a little more of that vermiculite off there. And we might hear this crack while you're working, Kerry, but that's gonna be the first piece of clear in the recycle bucket. And we will take that out and charge it into the furnace at the end of the day today and reuse it tomorrow. Sound good?
Sounds great. Ready to go.
All right. No questions then? Sometimes when we got 4/8, depending on the day, people in here, you got 8 people watching, people have questions. So it's really nice, and that's the beauty of taking a class is you get the personal experience with a glass blower that knows what they're doing, and you can ask them your specific questions and kind of learn a little bit more about the glass. And sometimes you don't know anything at first, sometimes it comes along during the class, so it's just up to you. Well, we'll get it started here. I'm gonna take the gather, and then we're gonna get the perps on there.
Ready to go.
So I'm in here, going for about the same amount of glass I did on the last one. That was the correct size. Now I'm backwards. You're getting on here behind my hand, just like that, turning with both hands, and turning nice and slow and smooth. Beautiful. We get that motion. Now we can start just tapping real light and turning, just like that. I'm gonna let you take it, you got it. Beautiful. And when the color's that tiny, it melts in a little bit as you're coating it on. So 2 or 3 good times around will start to actually add more color on there. Do shorter, tinier taps, so you're kind of touching it all, almost rounding the whole thing out. There you go. Beautiful. Now we're gonna set it up on, this is called a sill, right on there, and you can bring your left hand back and turn it up against the wall on the right side. Now this is where it's a little different. You can even take another step back and just hold on the end so you're a little further away from the heat. There you go.
A little warm.
A little different than when we're working out of the hole.
Yep.
The door, the opening's bigger. You don't have the yoke, the 2 balls to set it on. That's why we do it usually in the other situation, but that's my error. So now we got it melted in. Let's take it slowly out, keep turning. And we're gonna start with the back end, real low. And this is really cool, just go smooth as you can. Both hands. Beautiful. Coming back. Beautiful. Now let's work it up slowly and start to work on the tip. We're just rounding it out and smoothing in that color. And work it back down. I'll let you take it, work it back down to the other angle. All the way down. This is something that is surprisingly a little more difficult than most people think. Trying to work your hands together to coordinate the smoothness of the turn. It's also, for a specific reason, cooling down this piece a little quicker for us. It's looking good. I'll take it from you. Beautiful. That's the shape we want. 50% of the glass is off the pipe, super important. And if you compare it to the blue right now, we can already tell it's a much deeper color. The purple's showing much more. It's not completely out yet. Nothing's ever true while the glass is hot. But when that cools down, it's gonna be the perps.
I can't say the word purple anymore. It's just ever since I met you, it's the perps.
All right. I'm gonna go for the clear.
Yep.
Actually, you're gonna be with me. We're gonna marve it one more time. And that's the really cool thing about this class. Normally, most classes, you don't marver it for a second time when there's more glass. So you just experienced it with a tiny little bit of glass at a pretty cold state.
Yep.
Now to feel a larger mass of glass and to be gentle. We won't be pushing, letting the pipe. We're gonna be holding the pipe's weight a lot more. I just heard, I don't know if the mic's picked it up, but I heard that Percolla
That was
Reeds.
a snap,
You can even take a video of that. Zoom in on that reed, Uncle Dennis, if you can. Because that thing definitely just popped. And actually, it wasn't the reed, it was the pipe. So that's the pipe we were using. You see the glass, if you give that one tap on the ground, Kerry, it'll probably all pop right off of there.
Nope.
Maybe not. And it'll start going, but that was a loud crack, and that's how the glass comes off of the pipe. That's what happens if you don't cool it down overnight. So So I'm gonna go for the clear. Let's do it.
All right. Didn't take long. That's a thicker piece too, you know,
Big
right?
time. All right. So down low, back end first. We keep it off of the pipe first, get that stabilized. Coming back. Okay, now it's lifted up. We're gonna go for that angle, just like that. And this is way more gentle. We're really holding the weight of the pipe here.
Yeah, you feel if you do too much weight on this, it's going to just smush down.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
Coming back one more time.
Smush. That's a glass
Smush.
blower term,
The
right?
smush down.
Smush down.
That's right. All right, I'm gonna take it. That's perfect. That's the shape we want right there. That fits right into the mold. So now I can reheat it. It's colder on the outside because we were just marvering it on the thick steel plate. Kerry knows what's up. She's got the jacks ready to go already. It's important. It's really nice for the teachers, for the instructors, when the students are paying attention. I'll turn around and I'll be like, all right, up next is, and they've already got it in their hand. That's pretty nice.
I was a good student, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
I talk too much, but other than that, I mean...
As long as you're paying attention still. That's cool.
I know you're shocked to hear that.
All right, I'm going for the mold. You know the move with the jacks. Real gentle.
Gentle, yeah.
Gentle. Little pull off.
Now, that's not a blow pipe, so you're not blowing into it after you take it out of the mold like you would.
Precisely. Exactly. And it's a little different going into the mold without a blow pipe, too. You got to line it up a little bit different.
Yep.
So I'm turning, you take the jacks, we're going right where the lines start, right there. That's it. That's all we need. Come on off. Any tighter, if we actually squeeze it down all the way, we'd try and pull out the tip and the whole thing would come off and it would probably drop on the floor. So that's the perfect amount right there. Now you're going for the tweezers and hold them down real far. And you're going for the least amount of glass, in my opinion, that you grab, the nicer the tip pulls out.
Okay.
If you go for a giant pinch, it's going to be a real thick top to it.
Gotcha.
And remember that I'm going to let it fall one way, and then I'll flip it, and on its way down, you grab it. Here's the moment of truth, folks. Can she do it? All right. Let it fall. Go for it. Hard, start pulling, beautiful. A little less pull. Now you can let go and you can grab on the thicker part there. Yep, there we go.
There we go.
Grab it again. Yep, keep going down, wherever you need, wherever's comfortable. There we go. Pull it out a little more maybe. Yep. Now let me give it one more heat. We got our length on it, it's pretty good, and a nice twist to it too. But it's tough, the timing of it, right?
Yeah,
to grab right at
absolutely.
that moment.
It's always so much harder than it looks. You guys just make it look so easy.
Oh, thanks, Kerry. Well, you see how the tool cools it down. As soon as you touch that pinch mark, it's rock solid again. You can't really pinch it.
Because the tool is cold.
Exactly. I'm giving it a light heat, not to burn away the edges, but just the tip so that you can go for that tip again, and now we can give it a little curl. So kind of pull it down and then bring it back up as I'm spinning and it'll start to curl it. Down. There you go. Pull it back up. Oh, baby. Woo! Okay. Holy moly, look at this. Solid.
Yeah.
Now we can chop off. We can chop that top off if you want.
Definitely.
All right. I'm going to heat up that tip again. You can readjust the tip a little bit if you want to pull it out straight. Okay. And then we can kind of line up that double fold over. We'll chop it right where the fold is. That was a serious twist on it.
Serious twist on it.
Serious. I love that curl in the middle. So I'll try and not turn as much so we're not messing with the curl, but just pull it. There you go. That's probably good.
Perfect.
Did I hear this is serious?
Serious.
Serious. I'm sitting on my left hand so I don't get smacked either.
So then where do you want me chopping it? Right there? Let me grab the tool and we can line it up and you tell me. Maybe like right where the fold starts?
Yeah, somewhere like right there.
Well, that's got the double fold over there, so I'm gonna have to probably do it there
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
further down.
Yeah, that's good.
Right there?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. So I'm just gonna get the cold metal on it here, and then I'm gonna have you tap that end with the tweezers. You got the back of the tweezers just like that. It's perfect. If this lands in Uncle Dennis's shoe, then you guys know why the camera flung off.
It's called hot foot.
Real gentle.
Whoop.
Beautiful. And then we're gonna heat it up a little bit more because we want to melt in that broken part.
Yes.
So you can have an opportunity once it's hot enough again, if you want to kind of bend it a hair more. Think about the tweezers having a mark on it though. If you're grabbing it in a thick spot to bend it, you're going to have a tweezer mark there. So maybe you can just use the tweezers as a flat spot underneath it and kind of just push it around a little bit instead of grabbing it. Nice. Full curl back.
Yeah, that's good. Yep.
Beautiful. I'll get our braking spot here. It would be fun to do this one live and see what people are saying right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what the comments are, but we're going to see them on Sunday. There it is, folks.
It's going to be cool, yeah.
In the thinner spot up top, you start to see the purple coming out now.
Yep.
Down here, it's still glowing kind of red. And then, of course, you got the clear up in the tip, which looks really good.
Sweet.
Very nice. So now we're going to knock it off through the finishing move. You get that glove on, grab yourself a copper tube. And this is the finishing moment, folks, the moment of truth. Can she stick it?
Going for the gold.
We got to make sure this is not too hot. We don't want the vermiculite to stick to it. So I'm making sure it's looking pretty purple down there. Here I'm going in. Light tap. Nice and straight up and down for you. I'm going for the clear. Now, I always tell people, don't touch that now, because I've had people want to touch it, maybe like brush off a little broken glass, but that's still about 1400 degrees, so you don't want to be messing around. Don't want this too juicy. So let it cool for a second. Do the old squish and pull. You're going to go right for that nib on the top. Go for it. Keep going. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice stick.
Perfect. That's great.
That's pretty darn perfect. That is right on center. Nice one.
Nice.
It's easier said than done, like
Yeah,
anything
absolutely.
in glass. So that went on really good.
Sweet.
You see some smoke coming out of here on the top, and you're going to start to see the color of the copper tube changing from the hot glass up, which is a pretty cool motion there. A little stuck, Kerry. This is completely solid up here now. The glass is completely solid after just 30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah.
I'm going to pull this out. We brush all that off in the morning when it comes out the box.
There it goes. There it's smoking.
There, it's smoking real good. Nice
Sweet.
work, Kerry. Over to the box with it. 1,000 degrees in here. Set that down. Roll it into the back. And that's in there.
Great teaching.
Well done. Well done. Pretty cool. Pretty fun. And for us as the instructors, it's pretty cool too. And I can't teach every class. We've got 2 other instructors that are teaching as well. And it's pretty interesting for us when we have different people coming in with different mindsets. And it's new energy all the time and with different questions about the glass. It's a really cool thing to get in the shop and teach. And in teaching people, you learn a lot about the glass too. You never really stop learning about the glass. So we're all having a blast when we're teaching. It's good energy in the shop. We enjoy everybody else's energy.
Everybody's cheering you on. I took a class. I didn't know anyone, and it was great.
Taking
great
pictures
time
for you.
Yep. Video.
Really cool. I'm surprised with how many solo people come to the classes, and it's really cool to see that because I feel like in today's day and age, people aren't necessarily out and about and doing that kind of thing when the internet's around. So we do get a ton of solo people trying to blow glass, learning how to blow glass, doing the experience, and it's really awesome. It's fun to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Come take a class. I mentioned online, Jake, that there's a lot of cities around the Detroit area that you literally could catch an early flight, come in, right? Glass Academy is not very far at all from the airport. Get an Uber
10
over
minutes.
here, take a class at noontime with Jake or one of the other glass blowers, order in some lunch or go locally to some great restaurants.
Best Mediterranean food around.
Head home, and you're home by the evening. I mean, it'd be a great destination, little fun trip with your friends.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful weekend.
Beautiful
Thank you, Kerry,
weekend.
for being a part of it.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll catch you guys. This is Sunday. We will catch you guys on Tuesday for the Gathering Point. 6 to 8, we'll be making live glass and having a blast. We hope you have a beautiful rest of the day.
Bye.